This is episode 190. No Laugh Track Podcast. This is Justin Severson, the host. Thank you, Circle of Heat, for letting us play your music there at the beginning. And I have a first-time guest here today, and I overheard him say out in the club or out by the bar there a few minutes ago that this is his first time at Acme. So I am here to welcome you. Officially, Doogie Horner. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for welcoming me.
So that was true. You've never been here before.
No, I was just saying that to try to impress you. Yeah, I've never, I just lie. Just random lies to keep people.
No, good start. Good start.
So I'm hard to read.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I've never been here before. This is my first time. I've been in this part of the country before.
What do you mean by that? Go ahead and say like you were been to Canada.
New York.
Insult us,
New York City. I've been to the, one time I went to the east side.
There you go.
Or wait, west side.
Yeah, very so. Yep.
One time I went to Jersey City.
Practically the same place. Yeah.
No, yeah, I've been in this zone before, but I've never been to Acme.
Zone. Well, welcome.
This geographic zone. Thank you.
How was last night?
It was fantastic. Yeah. Nice crowd. There's only one disruption. This girl, it was one of those things where she was drunk and she didn't realize, like, she didn't think anybody would hear, she didn't realize how loud she was talking. And people were laughing, and then, like, as the laughs died out, she was talking to her boyfriend, and she goes, I didn't want to laugh, but he made me laugh.
What?
I didn't want to laugh, but I did.
What?
He made me. I didn't want to laugh, and I laughed.
Did you ask her to, did you get a recording of that? That sounds like a great quote you could share.
I told her, I said, that's my new blurb.
Yeah, the new blurb.
I didn't want to laugh, and I did anyways. He made me.
That's perfect.
Best kind of laughter, forced.
Right. He tricked me.
Coerced.
So
yeah, the crowd was nice. It was a good show.
You're here with Nick Thune.
Yeah.
Yeah? Does he have a beard? Do you have a beard? Does he have a beard these days? I haven't seen him yet.
He does have a beard, and he only tours with other bearded guys.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, all beards.
Does the way Derek Henkel's is opening, he's beardless.
He wears a fake one.
Okay.
For when he's on stage.
Good. How did you, how far do you and Derek, not you and Derek, how far do you and Nick Thune go back?
We've known each other for a couple years. We met in Philly, I think, at Helium Comedy Club. Maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. And, he's not going to be on No Laugh Track this week, but if people want to hear my voice and his voice combined, he has been on this podcast before, episode 55. So when you're all done listening to this, go back. It's in the Hall of Fame.
Check out the archives.
Yeah, the archives. Just go back in your iTunes. I'm sure you still have it saved, and listen to that one again. Doogie, I got to tell you, man. I was very excited. I do thorough research for all these podcasts.
Good.
And it sounds like I'm being like sarcastic by saying that. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. But I
do thorough research.
I legitimately do.
I
really do. I'm stupid. And no, I take a lot of pride in that. And I'm super excited to talk to you about all the shit that you've done.
Oh, cool.
And I say shit in the nicest way possible.
I hope you start with my junior high school sports career.
Yeah, let's go over that.
Doogie, saw you played soccer. Are you gay? Ultimate Frisbee. Wow,
So there wasn't a chess team you could have been on instead?
I did play chess, but I wasn't very good.
Really?
No, I'm not a very good chess player.
I don't know how to play chess.
It's easy.
It is easy, right?
I like how I'm like, I'm not very good, and I go, it's easy. Yeah, it's easy to play bad.
Yeah, okay. It's easy to participate, just not win.
It is pretty easy. It is pretty easy. The rules are pretty easy. But I don't play chess. I'm not very good at it. I prefer Go, the ancient Japanese strategy game.
What?
It's awesome. It's a big benchmark for artificial intelligence, because computers have been able to beat people at chess for a long time. And how they do it is through raw computing power. Like just brute force. The computer just looks at every possibility on the board. But with Go, you can't do that because there's an almost infinite amount of possibilities. Like it's possible that the same game of Go has never been played twice.
Wow. Okay.
So raw computing force can make a pretty good Go computer, but not a great one. So anyway, so that's how they test. That's one measure of artificial intelligence, how good the computer is at Go. And they finally made a computer that is better than the best Go player. I think just like last month or something.
Wow.
It's still being tested out. But it's very, very good.
How do you play Go? Is it on?
It looks like, Othello?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that with white and black stones. So, but it's the Othello, you know how Othello stands up? It's a board, it's a flat board, and it's wood, and it's just a grid. And I think it's 256 points, and you put a stone. So like you're the black stones, I'm the white stones. I can put a stone anywhere I want on any point, and then you can put a stone anywhere you want on any point.
Uh-huh.
And that's why there's so many possibilities, because you can do anything at any time. And we just keep doing that, and the goal is to kind of surround the other person to like control more territory.
Uh-huh.
And so, but the strategies are very unclear. Like really good Go players, sometimes they don't even know why they make a move. They're like, it just looks right or it just feels right. It's a lot more intuitive.
Where are you finding people to play Go with you?
Oh,
I've never heard of this. Where are you finding people?
I usually don't. I usually just have to play them online, or
okay.
I just teach someone how to play, and then I got a new person to play with.
Okay.
So the rules are very simple, but it just takes that. And I mean, I'm not good at it either, so
yeah,
I can just play with anybody, and they're probably as good as me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I didn't know we'd get into that. Now I've learned a new thing.
You knew. You baited me.
I baited you.
You held up a sign that said "Talk about Go."
Go. No, you misunderstood. The sign just said "Go." You misunderstood.
Trying to get you to hurry up. Be interesting, not bore us.
Can I tell you what I did this morning?
No. Yes.
You want to know this?
Yeah.
Because it involves you. Last night I purchased your brand new album.
A Delicate Man.
That's right. A Delicate Man. I purchased it from iTunes. And then this morning, I listened to the whole thing twice.
What'd you think?
It's really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
I was nervous for a second. What'd you think? You go, not my cup of tea.
No, very funny. And I'm not too familiar with your stuff, so it was like great to sit there. And I was excited there was something so new. Great timing, man.
Yeah.
Great timing to be here and have a brand new album.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even made a couple little notes. I want to let you know that I love cheese. This is in reference to a reply to one of your jokes about cheese.
Yeah, my friend who does not like cheese, Chip Chantry, another comedian. He doesn't like cheese, and that joke is a true story. It happens the same way. People they find out he doesn't like cheese, and they just start listing different cheeses. They're like he must, because they're like, well, he must not know what cheese is. They're like, have you had Swiss? And he goes, I've only ever eaten Jarlsberg. Oh, there are other types? He just, and you can't help yourself. Even knowing that that's what people do to him, the first time he told me that, I still asked him, I was like, but I mean, what about cheddar? You know?
What about curds? I love that.
And I went to his house for a New Year's Eve party one time, and he bought pizza for everybody. It was like 100 people there. He bought pizza for everybody from this really good pizza shop, and it was all tomato pie.
No.
All tomato pie. And I mean, it was still really good, but man, come on, Chip. What are you doing?
I used to work with a guy that was just the opposite. We'd get pizzas at work, and he would only eat the cheese.
He'd eat the cheese off it?
Yes, and then leave the rest of the pizza.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Do you know Chip?
No, I don't. I do not.
Oh, okay. He's a really great comic.
No, but I know what I'm going to talk to him about first thing.
Yeah.
Obviously cheese.
Yeah, he has an album out too, Across from the Adonis.
Oh, okay.
That he recorded also at Helium. We're both from Philly.
Right on.
And so I recorded A Delicate Man at Helium in Philly, and
was that your first and only choice of places to record?
I looked at some other places. I'm from Philadelphia, and I wanted to record at Helium because that's the first place I performed at. That's my home club.
Cool. Very cool.
I love Helium. I love Mark Grossman, who runs it, is a friend of mine, and he's been super supportive over the years. But I was a little concerned about recording there because it's a pretty big room, and I wanted on the album, you really want the room to sound packed, and I wanted to do multiple shows.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to do as many shows as possible. So I did look at some other rooms in Philly, but then ultimately we ended up doing it at Helium and just doing one show and just packing it and just doing it one shot. And
oh, it is.
And yeah, that's just, I just did one take.
Nice.
There's almost no editing on it, and it was great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I like Helium a lot, and so I was glad to be able to do it there.
Well, it sounded packed, so Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
Did you name name the tracks? Did you get help with that? Or I only asked that because a comic once asked me, Dave Mordahl had a CD come out like 4 years after he recorded the material, and then finally he was like, all right, I'm going to put this out there. And he asked me, and I got to name all of the tracks on his CD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting story, because actually Dave Mordahl named my tracks. So it's weird. He's like, can you name my tracks? I'm too busy naming other people's tracks. No, so it's funny because they did, like, the label did a rough cut of it. Like, they recorded it, and then they did a cut of it, and they split it into tracks.
Oh, okay.
And they named them all. And so they gave it to me as a rough cut, like, here are where we split up the tracks, and here's what we named them.
Oh, did that drive you nuts? Like, you split up no, that's one long joke.
Well, no, that's what no, first of all, obviously they know where to cut it. Like, they're a comedy label. Like, they make comedy albums. They know what they're doing. That's the whole point of going with a label, is that they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So I wanted that, I want I want the producer's expertise and opinions and stuff. So, but it was interesting because they named the tracks, and, you know how, like, you name your jokes. You have like a 3x5 card or your notebook or whatever, and you name your different jokes things and you put little bullets and you line them so you can remember what they call. So I have names for my jokes that I call, what I call them. And so it was interesting. The one joke I have, I call it oatmeal. That's just what I call it to help myself remember it. Yeah. And they called it all you can eat sex buffet. And I said, that is a catchier title. That will probably intrigue people more than oatmeal. So, but anyway, so I kept some of them the way they named them, and then some of them I changed. And I asked them, what is the logic for naming tracks? And they said, generally speaking, you just want to make it as short as you can, and as easily identifiable as you can, because if somebody's looking for one of your particular, like, let's say you're a Jim Gaffigan fan, and you want to hear his Hot Pockets joke. Yeah. You want to be able to find it.
It better be called Hot Pockets.
It better be called Hot Pockets. Right. You know what I mean? So.
And not a sex buffet.
Yeah. So, anyways.
I'm going to go back over my notes here about this is, let's call this my.
But I'm so glad you liked the album. Thank you.
I honestly.
Thank you.
And I put my money where my mouth is, man.
I do.
I put down my own $9.99 to buy this thing.
I will pay you back.
That's good. You took the hint.
Perfect. Yeah. So I slide.
Do you have straight cash or check? No, we'll talk about it after.
It's going to be barter.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I'm glad you I'm glad you brought up the sex buffet joke, because I don't want to spoil any of your material, but I'll just say that Burrito by myself made me laugh out loud really hard.
The joke used to be longer, and it was a little disgusting. There was this whole Stromboli segue. That I don't know if it was a little gross.
Also, I have to say that track 10 is about divorce.
Yeah.
And I've gone through divorce, and I'm remarried. And your line about the paperwork and about relying on someone is, dude, so true.
Yeah, you said your whole, you're married to somebody.
So
it's
true.
Like, they handle the banking, they do the stuff. You divorce them, you're like, how do I even start? Where are my shoes? I can't even get out of the fucking house.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to need the bank account number to our bank account that I'd never had access to. That's in both of our names.
What's my soch?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. Where do you have, can I have any paperwork on the kids? You took in oh yeah. So rang very true. That Louis C.K. special, what is it called? Not Shameless. Does he have one called Shameless?
He's got Shameless or Chewed Up.
Nope, not Chewed Up. I think it's Shameless. It's the one where he talks about a divorce. That same thing hit me. It's so freaking true. Like, he just nails stuff, and you did it in that one track as well. Good work, sir.
Thank you.
And you've never been through a divorce yourself?
No, luckily I've just been married once. And yeah, I'm married now. My wife and I got married about 4 to 6 years ago.
Sure.
I'm not sure. We've been together for so long. We've been together for almost 15 years, or maybe 15 years or something like that. And so, I can't quite remember. And I'm just bad with numbers and dates. But it's funny because when people ask me how long I've been married, and I say 4 to 6, I'm not sure. And they get like upset, and they go like, oh, well, you better. Oh, I bet you don't know. I bet that makes your wife angry. If it made my wife angry, don't you think I would know? What kind of idiot? Like, obviously she doesn't care. I don't know, because it doesn't bother her. If it bothered her, yeah, I'd memorize it. Oh, bet your wife hates that. Yeah, and I just do it anyways. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I don't care about her.
That's what I want you to know about me. I don't give a shit. Hurt her feelings? Good. Do you know her birthday, though?
Also, no.
No.
I know generally it's...
Month? Season?
Yeah, it's late August, and I always confuse it. I think it's August 29th. But I always confuse that with my dad's. I think it is actually August 29th, but then I think my dad's birthday is August 15th or somewhere else in August. And so I always think her birthday is August 29th, but then I think, oh no, that's my dad's birth. But I know it's late August, and then I always get reminded of the exact date when we're near there.
There's always a reminder. How, when your album came out, do you read reviews of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too many. I don't spend a ton of time online anymore, because it's just kind of
That's interesting. Why?
Cause it's kind of a waste of time, and you never know what you're gonna get. Someone could say something nice, or someone could say something mean. If somebody says something nice, you just go, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I thought so. Or they, they say something mean, and then you just feel bad. So
what have you dropped that you said, if you say you're not spending as much time, what are you not doing anymore?
I just generally don't spend as much time online.
Just stay off completely.
Across the board. I mean, I'll tweet, and then my tweets are connected to Facebook, so it goes through there. I'll post stuff, but I don't spend a ton of time. I don't know. I just don't spend a ton of time online. Yeah. But I read some of the reviews, and I liked. It's nice. It's interesting to hear. People I liked hearing, when people say oh, I've been through that, or I know what you mean, or I've had the same thing happen. That is nice to hear, especially because I never used to do jokes like that. I waited to record an album because my early material was a lot more alternative.
I was reading some stuff, and it described you as more of a storyteller.
Oh, yeah, I'm not.
No, that you were, maybe?
No.
Am I remembering what I read correctly?
Maybe somebody said that. Maybe I used to, I don't think I used to be a storyteller.
No?
For a little bit there, I had a couple long stories that I didn't put on the album. But I used to do more one-liners and more short, weird jokes that I was proud of the fact that nobody could relate to them. And I think I was intentionally trying to be weird, but then not trying to be weird, but I didn't like that comedians always talked about their life and stuff. And I just thought, why don't we talk about different things? But then at a certain point, after doing comedy for a while, you just kind of want to talk about your life, or things you actually think about, or things you actually believe in, as opposed to stepping on stage and talking about different things. Because then when you talk about things you actually think, or you talk about your life, it's great, because if you're on stage and you think of something, or something happens, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's not a segue you don't have to segue out of your set, or go, it's not a difficult transition back into your stuff. You can just talk about something that happened that day, or something you actually believe, which is nice. And
you're a parent now, correct?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Little boy?
That's one of the reasons I'm spending less time online. Because I can't. I bet. I don't have the time. His little boy, his name's Kirby, and he was born on Christmas Day.
Really?
So he's 9 or 10 weeks old right now, and he's at my parents' house right now with my wife. And they bought him a cap. They bought him a hat today.
They bought him a hat. That was the update you got?
Yeah, they bought a red and black checked hunter's cap today.
Because it's adorable.
And they sent me a photo. Yeah.
A baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if this is why you named him Kirby, but to score points here, you should tell people you named him after Kirby Puckett.
Yeah, there's only a couple Kirbys.
Vacuum cleaner.
Oh, didn't know that one.
Oh, yeah. Kirby vacuums.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a Minneapolis thing?
I don't even know if they still exist, but I know at one point people that was I could always go sell Kirby vacuums.
Oh boy, they got Hoover beat them out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Devil, they got into an insane trade war, and
that Dyson guy overpowered him. I don't know, but
there's only a couple Kirbys. So people, when I say my son's name is Kirby, they either mention Kirby Puckett, Kirby the pink video game guy.
Oh yeah.
Or his full name is Kirby Lee. So a lot of people think that we named it, I love comic books, and so they go, oh, you named him after Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Which I would never name my kid after Stan Lee. I would name my kid after Jack Kirby. I love Jack Kirby, but he's not named after Jack Kirby. He's named after my wife's grandfather. His name was Kirby.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And then my dad's middle name is Lee, so that's why we chose Lee.
You're big, and see now that proves
Stan Lee.
that you're way into comics and all that stuff, because I don't know who Jack Kirby is, but I definitely know who Stan Lee is.
Everybody knows who Stan Lee is because he's a fucking shameless.
Wow.
I hate that shit, man.
Really?
Yeah, he just ripped so many people off. He's just.
What do you mean? I'm not.
He was. I mean, he was a good writer, but he took a lot of credit away from other people, other artists. Like nobody knows Steve Ditko. I mean, some people know Steve Ditko, but everybody knows Stan Lee because Stan Lee loves putting his dumb fucking face on stuff. There's some people who one of their gifts is for self-promotion, and they're charismatic and they're a good talker and they enjoy doing that stuff. There's other people that like doing fucking work.
Yeah, we got one running for president.
Yeah. You know, and Steve Ditko is an incredible artist. He was the original artist for Spider-Man, and he didn't give a shit about if you knew his name or not. He just wanted to make great work. And that's why so many artists get ripped off, because artists care about making work and they just want an audience. And then money people, they want money. And so what happens so many times is money people, the people that own the platform, they say, hey, I'll put your work out there. And that's all the artists want. And then they go, great. And they don't stop to read the fine print. And so they get fucking ripped off. And years later, they're penniless alcoholics. I mean, this is the same situation with Bob Kane and Bill Finger, the guy the people who created Batman. Nobody knows who Bill Finger is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Bob Kane is. His name still has to be on all the Batman shit because he said it has to be. And Bob Kane didn't do anything. I mean, he created Batman, but Batman sucked when he created him. He was not talented. Bill Finger was the real talent.
That made him cool.
He died as a penniless alcoholic. And so, same thing happened with Superman's creators, So anyway.
They're all lies, man. They've just been lying to us.
No, it's just, it's like I said, money people got the money, and so they own the position, and so they're in a position of power first, and then that's what they want. They want money.
So there's a whole group of...
And artists just want exposure. They just want an audience. And so if you tell an artist, like, great job, I listened to your thing and I really liked it, like, you tell me, like, I loved your album, like, that's all I wanted. If, like, you're like, all right, I can either give you $20 or somebody can say they liked your album, I'll be like, I'd like to hear that compliment.
Yeah, right on,
that's what you want. You put work out there, partially to express yourself, but partially because you want to connect with people.
Mm-hmm. That fascinates me. There's a group of illustrators and comic book people out there that are like, fuck Stan Lee.
A lot of people feel that. I mean, a lot of people like him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an artist too. I mean, he was a great writer and stuff, but he had a definite gift for self-promotion.
And I don't even know if that's probably not his real name, but a name that sticks, Stan Lee, that works for him. Wow. I had no idea. And I know that you're passionate about this because you're an illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's another thing I'm excited to hear about. When I search your name and all these books start popping up, like, holy crap, this guy's not just a comic.
No, I make books.
Wow. How did that all happen?
Well, I went to art school in Philadelphia. I went to Tyler School of Art, and I'd always drawn. And
did you doodle? Did you doodle in notebooks when you were in class?
Yeah, kind of. Not so much. I wasn't a big doodler.
Okay.
But I always drew, and then I always drew like cartoons and comic books type stuff. And then I went to art school and I majored in graphic design, and I kept drawing. And there came a certain point, you know how when you get good enough to realize how bad you are? And that's a lot of people have talked about this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that's a big hurdle that a lot of creative people don't get over, right? When you get good enough to realize how bad you are, but you're good enough to see how bad you are, but not good enough to know how to fix that, right? You don't have the talent but you have the vision. Mm-hmm. And that's really, upsetting and embarrassing.
Kicking the balls. Yeah.
And so I reached that point a couple years after I graduated from college. I kept illustrating. I kept drawing. I was writing and drawing my own little books. I did one about, I don't know why, a lot of them are holiday themed. I did a Die Hard Nutcracker mashup. I did a Santa one about Santa having like a difficulty with his deliveries. I did one where these astronauts go to a planet and they take bugs with them to study, and the bugs get near these rocks and they mutate into these giant things, and so it's astronauts fighting these giant bugs in outer space. And so after the astronauts and bugs one, that was when I realized, oh, these are really stupid stories and I'm bad illustrator. So I stopped illustrating.
Where were you putting them that people could see them back then?
I just made the books and then showed them to people, or I did a couple gallery shows. I put them up in bookstores or coffee shops around Philly, and I just kind of did them.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I stopped illustrating for many years after that. But so anyways, while I was doing that, after I graduated, I loved books. And so I knew I wanted to get into publishing. And so I worked at Running Press, which is a publisher in Philadelphia, and I was a designer there for a couple of years.
Wow.
And then I moved to
That's like a gig you could have had for life, right? Like people do that as a career.
Yeah. Well, then after that, I moved to Quirk Books, which I was the art director there, and I was there for almost 10 years. And that was really, really, really hard to leave because I loved that job. I love books. I was the art director. I still am really, really good friends with the publisher there, Jason McCulloch.
Okay.
He's one of the most talented people I know. He's the guy who created Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and helped create Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children and all these other great books. Like, he's just got this really good vision.
Wow.
And he's really good at helping authors achieve their vision. He's a very good editor. You know, like, he's an old school editor where he's super involved with the books, and he's so talented, and we work together on a bunch of books, making books. It's a really small publisher, so you're involved with every facet of the production.
Awesome.
And so I loved that job, and it was very, very hard for me to, after 10 years there, we left, my wife and I left Philadelphia, and we moved to New York for comedy.
How many years into comedy had you been then? When you moved?
Maybe 7 years.
Oh, okay.
6 or 7.
Okay. So not that long ago.
Yeah, no, we've only been in New York for 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was really tough to choose because, yeah, I love doing that stuff, and it was a fantastic job and really creatively rewarding. So, but anyway, so then, so I was the art director there and designer there, and then, like I said, I had stopped illustrating because I was so bad. And then I started to slowly get back into it. I did a book called Everything Explained Through Flowcharts.
Yeah.
I started making these, I don't know why, I started making these insane charts. Actually, I do know why. I started doing comedy, and I noticed a lot of people told jokes about the same subjects. So I made a chart. It was the universal comedy flowchart, and it was just encapsulated all the different subjects people talk about. You know, like I'm dumb, or like my wife is dumb, or my parents talk funny, or, you know, sex stuff.
Right.
So all those other things, that's like deprecation. There's deprecation. There's criticism. Like there's just so there's self-deprecation. There's criticism. There's society. You know, there's society criticism. You're right. There's observation. Anyways. So I started making these big charts, and that turned into a book called Everything Explained Through Flowcharts. And that's when I started drawing again. I started illustrating my charts, but it was a way back into illustration because you got this huge, crazy chart, and in there are these little illustrations, you know, like in the book, there's probably like 1,000 illustrations, but they're all tiny. And then after that, I did a book called 100 Ghosts, and that one, the illustrations are super duper simple. They're just ghosts. These are like the little floating bedsheet ghosts.
Yeah.
And so then that was my way back into illustrations, getting back to the basics and figuring out what do I not like about my art? What is wrong with it? And then my third book was some very interesting cats, perhaps you weren't aware of. My books had the like I'll choose titles. I'll go, Everything Explained Through Flowcharts. That's just a working title. I'm sure the publisher will change it, and they don't, you know, some very interesting cats perhaps you weren't aware of. I mean, they won't keep that as the title, will they?
I actually, you know, I bring my notes for the podcast, and I wrote down the name of all those books. Some very interesting cats perhaps you weren't aware of almost didn't fit on the page.
It's so hard to remember, which is not good. You don't want people to not be able to remember. some cats that I didn't know were there, the author of.
Yeah.
But then, and that one was more complicated, the illustrations in that. And so I was able to get back in illustration now. And then I just finished illustrating 3 books for Quirk, middle grade books. And they're...
Oh yeah, I was looking at those.
Kid Presidents, Kid Athletes, and Kid Artists. And each one of those books had 200 illustrations. So I just finished Kid Artist. So it was 600 illustrations. And so now I feel like I'm in really good form illustration wise from doing all those different things. It's like that thing where, like, I think they did a study where they had somebody, they said they gave them a semester and they said, just make as many pots as you can, doing like pottery, like make every day, just make as many pots as you can. And then the other person, they said, all right, you have all semester to make 1 pot, like 1 perfect pot. And the person that just kept making stuff and not worrying about it, their pot at the end was better. Like you have to do stuff and you have to get over it. So those books were a great way for me to get over kind of my fear of illustration and my, you hold yourself to these really high standards in all types of art. And the same thing is true of comedy. Yeah. But when you're just forced to do it, that's how you get better and how you get over it. Anyways. I
was looking at some of, what they would show me on Amazon. I didn't have the books right in front of me, but I was looking at them. That 100 Ghosts. So I saw some on some website, where you did some of like a Game of Thrones stuff. Is that in the book or was that just something separate?
No, yeah. After the book came out, I just did a bunch for fun. I did Orange is the New Black and Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad.
Yeah, the Breaking Bad. I saw those as well.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the type of thing. I look back at those now. I'm like, oh, those are pretty shitty.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, those are pretty bad.
Okay.
I think those drawings are pretty bad.
Huh.
But I'm better now.
Yeah.
It's all about line weight. I've really learned to focus on my line weight, and then also structural integrity in the illustrations, simplification, like simplifying them and basing them around geometric shapes, and simplifying and making sure it's everything. There's no unnecessary lines. Like if you got a line in the wrong place, drawing 2 lines on either side of it isn't going to help. You know what I mean? So it's about placement, consistent simplification, and then I've really been focusing on line weight recently.
Who did you get the artistic skill from? One of your parents good at that, or?
No. I mean, my grandmother painted.
Okay.
I think she's the only artist in the family. I mean, my mom, both the kind of like artistic, maybe personalities. My mom was into acting.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad, he worked in marketing, but he was always doing weird. He had no interest in his job. He was always doing weird stuff. He flew ultralights and he was, always working on his ultralights. I was trying to improve them and building them and stuff. And,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice break from marketing.
Yeah. He did not like marketing.
So do you have something, you must have something next. What's next?
I just finished illustrating the Die Hard coloring book.
That's a real thing? I saw that on your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
That's seriously a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was funny. I was talking to HarperCollins and they asked me if I had any coloring book ideas because adult coloring books are a thing now.
I created that fad, by the way.
Oh my gosh. It was you?
Yeah. So if you make a ton of money, you're welcome. I just want to say because I'm an adult and I was coloring like 2 years ago and then, and I was like, there should be coloring books for adults. Now they're everywhere. So no one heard me ask that, but it just happened to coincide with it. So,
I'll add it to the $10 I owe you for the album.
Yeah, you should. So, is this the first one then that you've done?
I actually helped design one for Quirk, a couple years ago called Color Me Fierce. It was like a fashion coloring book. And,
I have a Star Wars coloring book, adult.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, but so yeah, HarperCollins, they asked me for coloring book ideas and they gave them a bunch. And one of them was, I just said, let's do like 80s movies. And, they said, well, we like that idea, but we'd have to pay for the rights. We can't get the rights and it's too expensive. So I said, okay, don't worry about it. And then the next day they called me and they go, all right, we bought the rights and they listed like a bunch of movies. And I said, oh, okay.
No shit.
And so then, so I chose Die Hard from their list and, cause I love that movie. It's one of my
Is this before
favorite films.
Before or after the death of Alan Rickman? Rest in peace.
I think it was actually before.
Okay.
And I just finished drawing it a couple days ago, and it looks really great. And so that'll be coming out soon. Kid Artists will be coming out soon.
And you drew like painters, or like who? What we covered? Who are artists?
We covered a wide range of artists, but skewed towards some that kids might be more familiar with. So, Dr. Seuss and Beatrix Potter wouldn't be in your typical art history class, but kids know them. So,
yeah.
But yes, it's a nonfiction book. It's little short stories about different artists. And then it's got tons of illustrations on every page.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, that sort of format where there's text and then an illustration.
Those books
text,
are so cool.
Scenes.
My daughters are right in that age group where they're getting into those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, I'm not sitting there reading them, but just I could tell how much they enjoy them. That's good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a middle grade book, and then the Die Hard coloring book, and then I have a kid's book. I have a couple kids' books that I wrote and illustrated that I have right now that I got to get a new agent for. I'm switching agents because I want to move to somebody that's got more experience with kids' books.
Uh-huh.
And then I have a couple other things a couple other books that are in the pot. They're in the crock pot.
How about, do you ever do like, what's the word? Like cartoons,
I've tried doing cartoons. I love cartoons. I mean, that's I really like cartoons. Like when I was a kid, I loved Calvin and Hobbes and Bloom County and The Far Side, and I love comic books. That I've always really wanted to do that, but I just don't think I have the right temperament for it, because to be really good at cartoons, a key skill you need to have is it's about like visualizing the story and visualizing the things that happen between the panels.
Uh-huh.
It's about image choice, and it's kind of like directing, and it involves, I mean, you don't have to be able to, but it is good. Like, you just got to draw a lot of boring stuff. Like somebody gets a phone call. Oh, now I got to draw a phone.
Yeah. Ring.
I hate drawing phones, or I hate drawing. I'm learning perspective. I've never drawn in buildings. I hate architecture, drawing it in perspective. And I'm just like, oh God, I got to learn how to draw correctly in perspective. And so I've been learning it. I've been working on it, and it's such a pain in the balls.
Wow.
You don't have to draw that way. I mean, a lot of people, Jeffrey Brown, look at Jeffrey Brown. He doesn't let any of that stuff stop him. He just draws the way he wants to. And if it doesn't look good, screw it.
You can just do like the one panel ones, like, family, what is that one? Family Circle?
Family Circus.
Circus. Yeah, Circus. Little Billy.
Oh yeah, but I don't have any interest in drawing that kind of stuff like New Yorker cartoons, but I love comic books, and I would love to do that. But like I said, I just don't think I have the right temperament to draw all those panels, and I don't think it's necessarily a gift of mine, the skill of imagining what happens between the panels and visualizing stories that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'll ever do that. I mean, I wish.
Yeah, I want to go back to you. So your wife and kid are back home, and you're on the road.
Yeah,
you're missing out on those late night feedings and the early mornings and the shitty diapers. I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't been traveling too much since we had Kirby. I've been traveling less. It's only like the second road gig I've done since he's been born. So I've been doing it less.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been too bad so far. Kirby's been sleeping pretty good. He'll sleep at he'll do a 5-hour stretch sometimes at night. And, it hasn't been too bad. And
what's the biggest surprise in being a new parent?
No surprises.
No?
I mean, you know about it, you hear about it, and I mean, I'm pretty old. I'm 35, so I think it maybe would have been more of a shock my wife and I have been together for 15 years. We're both in our mid 30s. I think maybe having a kid is a more shocking experience if you don't know each other as well as a couple, or if you're younger. Mm-hmm. I mean, in my mid 30s, having a kid, I'm really not giving up too much. There aren't too many lifestyle changes. It's not like I'm too old. There came a point a certain years ago where it's just getting fucked up every night is not something I can do anymore. You know, it hurts. And so, you know, and meeting new people, I need new people.
Yeah.
You know,
I got enough friends.
I got my people.
Right.
So there haven't been too many, the changes haven't been, I feel like we were ready for a new experience and a new thing.
Yeah.
And you hear so much, you know what's going to happen, when you have a kid.
Yeah.
You know what it entails. And
you know what I noticed is how many, useless products, people think you need to purchase.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That's what I noticed, is how much money is wasted on gimmicky things for babies.
Yeah.
Like
you talking
cribs. No.
Use a drawer. You could. My wife's family was not poor, but I mean, I guess pretty poor her dad was a pastor, and they grew up in rural Canada, and there were 4 kids and stuff, and so she was like, yeah, we just, you know, we didn't have a lot of fancy stuff or anything, and so I love her attitude. One of the things I love about my wife is she doesn't buy a bunch of
That's good.
useless crap.
Yeah.
Although she's become obsessed with mobiles. Oh. She's got every day a new mobile arrives in the mail.
Are you running out of room to hang those things?
Yeah, we got a lot of mobiles. And they're all like weird, like they're all like from Thailand or like different weird.
You might want to check the ingredients on what that was made of.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want it to fall in and
but
Kirby starts chewing on it.
Kirby does love mobiles.
Yeah.
He's got a balloon mobile that he likes a lot. But anyway, so no big surprise. I mean, you know, everybody tells you, they're like, oh, it's going to change your life. You probably don't think it will. Yeah, I know it will. Yeah. No, I know. It's a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm surprised how much I would say I'm surprised how much I love him, but I assumed I would love him. Like, he's my son. Yeah, I figured I would. But I guess I am a little surprised about, like how much I talk about him, or how much I think about him, or how much I love him.
Yeah.
But surprised is not the right word, because I knew that would happen. It's more just, you don't realize how powerful a feeling that's going to be. It's
more like an appreciation for, like, holy crap, I really have this inside me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate my parents more.
Yes.
You instantly become closer to your family, your parents.
Theory.
Well, maybe you don't, because you got a bad relationship with your parents. But
I just say, I'd throw that out there just in case my dad is actually going to listen to another one of these. Call me out on it.
Heard you mention my T-shirt. Don't talk about me on your podcast.
I wanted to bring this up before I forget about it. When I was looking at all your stuff, your books and your CD that is available, everything's listed, of course, on Amazon, among other places. And I see that there's a German edition of the Ghost book.
Buh. Yeah.
Buh.
Buh.
100 Geister die begeistern.
Die Geistern, die Geistern. It's very scary. Oh, watch yourself. Oh, there are ghosts in here. Are you scared? You will be. You will be.
Schneider says, well, all locker inch blacken.
Oh, they talk funny.
Yes.
Those idiots.
Yes. They even know what they're saying.
Yeah, the Ghost book was translated into quite a few different languages, actually.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Vietnamese, I know Vietnamese, German, and maybe there's a Danish version. I forget.
Do you have copies of those yourself?
I think I have the German one. It's easy to book to translate because there's not many words.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, it's neat. I don't know if there are any foreign editions of flowcharts. The flowcharts book would be impossible to translate.
From the examples from the books that I saw, many words. It almost hurt my eyes. There was so much stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I'm going for.
That's a compliment?
Retina-searing complexity.
Yeah. Yes.
I still don't know how I made that book. That book was crazy.
Yeah. It's intense.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I wanted to ask you, there's something, what's dirty jokes every man should know? How is your name attached? What is that?
So I edited that book. And it's just a joke book.
You edited it?
Well, yeah, so Quirk did that, and they said, we want to do this dirty joke book, so do you want to do it? And so, yeah, I just got like a bunch of old, like old street jokes and old my dog has no nose. How does he smell? Terrible. Except not like that. I mean, it's dirty jokes.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was like, how dirty do you want them to be? And they're like, whatever. It's dirty as you want. And then I gave them an example and they're like, well, not that dirty. That's disgusting. We meant ribald. So yeah, it's almost all just like old, like street jokes and, dirty jokes. And so I collected them and then I rewrote.
That had to have been fun.
That was fun. Yeah. I rewrote them and, or like simplified them or pared them down or, because a lot of them are just jokes you've heard before, like, a guy goes home and there's a gorilla fucking his wife and he's like, hey, you're ruining the carpet or whatever dumb thing. And so there's and then I wrote commentary. Then there's like commentary. There's also like sidebars or I talk about, there's an introduction and there's things like that. And that's all original content. But most of it's just like, old jokes you've heard before, except there's one joke in there that my friend Chip Chantry wrote. And it has become a street joke, but it's actually his joke. He says, what's the worst thing that Willie Nelson can say while giving you a hand job? By the way, I'm not really Willie Nelson. And that's just become...
I've heard that.
Yeah, you've heard that.
Yeah.
That's Chip's joke.
I've for sure heard that.
Yeah. And he has a tag that say what other people don't know is the tag, and he goes, because then it's just a redheaded stranger, which is a reference to his really great concept album, Redheaded Stranger. But so anyways, yeah, Chip wrote that joke.
No shit.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Way to go, Chip.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
But so I don't really promote that book because it's not really my book. It's
sure.
I just edited it. It's just
Yeah, well, your name's on it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I saw a thing this morning, and I want the update. What's with your beef with Kevin Hart?
Oh, do I have one?
No, I don't think so. But apparently Katt Williams does. Did you see this?
No, what are they beefing about?
Katt Williams apparently was just arrested recently, and then
He's always arrested recently.
Yeah. And they found him, he got bailed out, and then this video I watched, it's him. It's just for a few days old.
Do you know what he got arrested for? Or just out of curiosity?
There was some shoving involved. I know that. He shoved someone.
I got in a fight, okay.
Yeah. And, so this video I watched, it's Katt Williams, and he's in what looks to be a mink coat, like a body length mink coat.
Nice.
And he's calling out Kevin Hart for some reason. I don't know what problem he has with Kevin Hart.
Oh, so you don't know what the beef's about
but
either.
he's calling him a puppet, and then he puts down a challenge, and he says, I'm gonna come film my special in your town in Philly, and you can come and meet me there, and we can have 5 competitions, each one with $1 million on the line. And some of the competitions he mentioned were like, this is all real. You're looking at me like I'm making this up.
No, I believe you, but it's crazy.
A one-on-one basketball. Yeah, and then there were some other ones, including...
I thought they would be comedy competitions.
Well, the last one he mentioned was comedy. But the other ones were not. This is legit.
I love that. Katt Williams, known, of course, for his, people are like, hey, you know Katt Williams? Oh, the basketball player? Yeah, he's
oh, yeah, right.
It's just funny. It's like, I like that he's staring contest, table tennis, wow, I wonder what
well, you have no beef with him. You don't have no comedy beef with any other Philly comics. You want to go on the record and say that?
Well, I got a problem with Chip's cheese stance. That's about it.
You've already put that one out there, though.
I haven't had beef. I got beef with that guy that thinks Garrison Keillor isn't funny. I got beef with anybody that does not like a Prairie Home Companion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I ask that sometimes. I ask that to people, like, what is your, your first thoughts of Minnesota? And yours is Garrison Keillor.
Yeah,
before Prince.
We were talking about Garrison Keillor on mic for like a half hour, and I thought it was the podcast, and then the guy in the sound booth was like, do you want me to start?
Because obviously I'm not leaving this in, so. No, he hadn't hit record.
Yeah, I love Garrison Keillor. He's a great author. I love his stories. They're so elliptical. They don't have a standard narrative arc, and they're really, really fucking good. Like his book, Leaving Home, I would say for a newbie, for a first timer, if you've never heard him before, or if you just heard him giving his monologue on a Prairie Home Companion, you didn't like it. Some of his monologues are not as good as others because, I mean, he does it every week. He's been doing it for 20 years. Right. But if you want to hear his best stuff, I mean, Leaving Home, that story collection is incredible.
And you've never gone to a show?
No, I was asking, since I'm here, I don't know if he's doing a show, if I could go see it.
I think, like I said, and I think the only one I know for sure he does here is at the Minnesota State Fair in August. So you'll just have to stay until then.
I come here for Oshkosh.
For what?
I go to Oshkosh in Wisconsin. You never heard of Oshkosh? It's a airplane. It's a fly-in. It's a plane show. My dad and I used to go all the time. And I go to Oshkosh, and then
for the plane show.
Yeah, my dad flew we used to fly ultralights, and so then you would go to fly-ins, and sometimes it's where you fly there, and everybody's got their planes, and then you
swap stories.
You camp for a couple of days, you swap stories, and then you look at each other's planes, and then you also go look at, they'll have a bunch of warbirds there. So you look at some P-51s, P-40s, P-38s, you get some bombers, you get to, you go inside a B-17. And then they have air shows, and they do flybys and stuff, and, you eat corn on the cob, you listen to
now you're talking
country music.
Now you're
dude, we went to Sun and Fun, and all they had was corn on the cob. It was the only food. I don't know what was going. All I ate was corn on the cob for 3 days. Our tent, there was a big storm, and our tent collapsed in the storm. And I said, Dad, I'm going in the car, and he just stayed in the collapsed tent. He slept in the collapsed tent the rest of the night.
What a man!
And then his sleeping bag, we were packing for the trip, and he found the sleeping bag in the basement. And he goes, look at this thing. Look at how it was rolled up. He's like, look at how great this. He's, dads are all obsessed with packing light.
Yeah.
He goes, look at how small this thing rolls up in. This rolls up as. This is fantastic. And then we get there, and he unrolls it. It's a child-sized sleeping bag. He didn't realize that's why it rolled up. So he's in a child-sized sleeping bag. It comes up to his thigh. He's in the collapsed tent. It's raining. It's stored. The only reason the tent isn't flying away because he's weighing it down.
Right.
I was like, I'm going into the car. Ate nothing but corn for 3 days. It was a disaster.
You'll never forget it, though.
It was fun. It was fun. Another time we went, and we just drove in our Toyota, and I was like 14, and he's like, we'll just camp in the car because the seats fold down. So I had to sleep in the trunk.
What?
He's like, oh, the seats fold down. It's so, your legs will just be in the trunk. And he's like, I'll just sleep sitting up in the front seat. But the seats didn't fold down all the way. They fold down a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's more like sleeping in a recliner. And so I'd fall asleep, and then I'd roll down into the trunk. And so I slept in the trunk. He slept sitting up in the front seat like a mummy, like a vampire or something. That was another trip.
Dad of the year right there.
When we were at Sun and Fun, he kept stealing golf carts.
Oh.
Well, because that time he had a stroke 10 years ago. And so he's pretty severely disabled.
Okay.
And so, but at Sun and Fun, he was using it to his advantage because he would steal golf carts, and then we got caught. He'd be like, "Oh, I had a stroke. I didn't know." He knew I would say, "Oh, my dad, he had a stroke. He doesn't understand." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. Sorry. I'm so stupid."
That's similar to old people, when they,
yeah.
They can get away with stealing.
The
they'll
Seinfeld
never suspect
bit.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, he took, this is one perk of having a stroke. People cut you a little slack.
Jesus. I guess. Are you selling? So you have so much stuff with your name on it. What are you selling at the shows? Did you bring anything along to Minneapolis?
I didn't bring any merch.
Nothing.
Well, I hate carrying stuff. And then
books would be difficult.
Books are heavy.
Yeah.
So I hate carrying stuff. And then also I feel awkward as the feature selling merch. I know a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
But
is it Nick out there with something after the shows?
He's not selling anything this time.
Oh, he's not. Okay.
I feel like it's disrespectful to the headliner. A lot of times the headliner says they're cool with it, and I guess they are, but I think it's a little disrespectful, and I feel weird about it.
All right.
And it doesn't really benefit me that much. I want to sell 5 books, 10 books per show. Great. That doesn't make any,
yeah.
My publisher is selling 30,000 books. Why do I need to bring 5 to Minneapolis? Yeah. Lug them on that's the other thing. I had to carry them on the plane. I'd have to check a bag, lug them to sell 30 books over 5 days.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect my bottom line. So
you could come here a day early, go to all the bookstores they're in, buy all those up, and then sell them for double.
Honestly, that would make more sense to team up with a bookstore and say, hey, can you...
Yeah.
And do a reading there and have them, purchase
Did you do that when the books were brand new? Do you do readings or?
Yeah, you team up with a bookstore and they purchase a bunch and you give a reading and then they sell them there. And then
signings.
Yeah, you do. I do like a presentation. I'll do a short reading and I do a presentation. I write like original content for the readings. I usually write like a little short story about that subject and I'll do some things and then, you talk to people afterwards. And I gave a reading for some very interesting cats. I gave a reading at the Manhattan Public Library, which I was really excited about because I go there all the time. I love it, at Bryant Park. And so we did a Q&A afterwards and people were asking really great questions until this one guy raises his hand and I go, yeah, what's your question? And he goes, I work at old folks home and there is a cat there. He comes around, and this cat is black as night, black as death, and whenever he comes around, people get nervous because they know someone is about to die. Okay, and so your question is... Yeah! And then the next lady, she raised her hand, and she starts asking this question about the Pink Panther, and then she slowly falls asleep as she's asking the question. Because we're in the middle of Manhattan, like a couple people, and it's the public library, so a couple people there will be on heroin.
Right. They kind of live there.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that ends our Q&A. You ever know about the Pink Panther? It's a cat, it's a large one. I see, oh my God,
I wonder what she was really going to ask about the Pink Panther.
I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know.
You'll never have to go back and go, hey, so how long you want this to be? There's always a sign.
We are done.
Yeah.
People need to shoot up.
Yes. Is there anything else we should cover here? What do you think, Doogie?
You're the first person that hasn't asked me about America's Got Talent.
You know what? Because I feel like you've probably answered that 5 billion times.
I have. But thank you for asking. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I probably am.
Yeah.
I watched the video. I saw it. You got booed. It looked like one of the worst. The first minute looked like the worst comedy experience that anyone has ever gone through.
Oh, it was fine. I didn't mind at all.
Yeah.
Because who gives a shit? Who are these people? A bunch of idiots. You know what I mean? Seriously. Like if you're performing at the Comedy Cellar and you're bombing, that's horrible because you know that that's a good crowd, that's a good room, this is a place you want to perform. Maybe there's some people watching you. You know what I mean? If I bomb in front of a comedian I respect, that's, right? Like, so let's say somebody goes up right before me and they're good and they do well, and then I go up and I bomb.
Yeah.
And there are comedians in the back that I respect. That's embarrassing. But bombing on America's Got Talent, who gives a shit? It's a bunch of people. It's a show I don't respect. It's people I don't respect. It's a show for magicians and dancers and stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's more for comedians. Now that they've had more good comedians on there, like Gary Veeder and Taylor and Greg and stuff. Now it's better. But back when I was on it, it was not. The comedians were like, was a 90-year-old woman or a kid with cancer that's so brave for telling jokes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never saw the show. I have been watching the last couple seasons here and there because people I know have been doing really well on there.
Yeah, Mike Kaplan was on, Gary Veeder was on.
Exactly. Mike Kaplan, Derek Hughes did really well last summer. Mike Kaplan did well. So yeah. So I watched it more. So I never saw your stuff when that was new. And just watching the old video. What was it, from 2010, 11? How old is that?
It was season 5.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And it just seemed like a completely different show.
Yeah, it was not really geared for comics. But yeah, everybody booed me, but I don't care. I'm not at a comedy show. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I was used to getting booed and I was used to bombing from performing a lot in Philadelphia where the crowds are tough and then doing lots of weird. I hadn't been doing comedy very long at that point, so I did lots of strange shows. I did shows, in the suburbs of Philadelphia at hoagie shops and things like that. And so I was used to people not liking me and I don't care. As long as they're people you don't care about. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think you would like me. This is a bowling alley in Huntsville. You know what I mean? Like, I thought you would hate me. So we're not, it's fine,
And let's be honest, Piers, what's his name? Piers Morgan?
Piers Morgan.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, but like, that's his job.
Yeah.
Like they hired him. They know he's a dick. Like that's his thing. You're supposed to have a judge that
let me rephrase
like
that.
People.
I personally am over the British guys that are hired to be on every show.
Yeah.
I'm just,
yeah.
It's like, I just feel like there's a checklist. Like, all right, we need to hire somebody for the empty seat here. Let's see, is it a guy? Yep. Does he have a British accent? Yep, hired. John Oliver is the number one exception to that right now in my life. He's brilliant. But
we need to make America great again. We need to get these Brits out of here. Let's toss some tea into the Boston Bay.
That's what I'm really getting to. No, but so I've been sick of the whole Piers Morgan act forever, and then just seeing him again, watching your clip on that show. Like, oh yeah, I remember how I didn't like him.
We're good friends, but that's fair.
You and Sharon Osbourne, I'm sure too, right?
We hang out a lot.
Yeah,
she has me. I dog sit for them a lot.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any more reality shows? Would you ever do that again?
No. I mean, it was sort of. I didn't really get much from that show. I mean, except I was like, everywhere I went, I got recognized for months. I mean, a year after that, it was insane.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get much professionally from that show because I didn't want to do other reality TV. I just wanted to do stand up. But at that time, I wasn't particularly good at stand up. I'd only been doing it for about 4 years, so I couldn't headline. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to do other reality TV. And I was working at Quirk, and I really loved my job. So everybody's like, oh, you should quit your job. You should move to LA. You should go get a sitcom. And I said, what? Like the producers, and I'm going to get to LA, and they'll be like, you were on TV? What? Like, who gives, I just didn't want to do, it's like, I could have, if I was going to do anything else, it'd be like Cupcake Wars or some dumb thing, like, I don't know. People, I think these days overestimate anyways.
No, you're right.
But and the whole thing on that show was just, they're like, you're weird. Like, they thought I was weird, which I don't. I'm kind of tired of hearing.
Yeah.
My whole life with that shit. Oh, you're so weird.
Join the group.
You're weird. You're weird. How about that?
You're weird. Speaking of that, I just bought tickets for me and my daughters to go see Weird Al. August 19th.
It's a good
in
show.
Minneapolis.
He's good.
I've seen him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So know.
Oh,
he does a costume change for every song.
I know.
It's insane.
I know.
And he's got great pitch.
Yeah.
He's such a good live singer.
So you've actually gone to a live show as well?
Yeah. I've seen him, I think 3 times.
Nice. I've been like 3 or 4 as well. Yeah.
I love the song Skipper Dan.
Yes! Me too.
A start in every high school play. For those of you, so if you're listening and you haven't heard Skipper Dan, which you haven't, it's not a parody song.
Nope.
Like some of his songs he does in the style of something, like he'll do it like he does that song about eBay that's in the style of the Doors. So it's an original song, but he's sort of parodying.
Yeah. Recently did a song in the style of White Stripes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Skipper Dan is in the style of, I think he said it's actually in the style of Weezer.
Okay.
Although I thought it was a Jimmy Buffett. I think it might be like maybe a mix of Jimmy Buffett and Weezer. And it's a song about this guy. It's told in the first person. And he's like, I was a big actor in high school. I started on my high school plays. I was, I did really well. And I moved to Hollywood, and I thought that I was going to be a famous actor.
Yeah.
And, things haven't worked out quite that way. I've gotten close though. I work on the Jungle Cruise ride at Disneyland. And if you've never been on the Jungle Cruise ride, it's this like little boat that takes you around a fake river. And
it's the same thing every day.
Yeah. And there's a guy in the front of the boat fake driving it, and he's wearing like a safari outfit, and he does patter. He talks to you and he makes jokes, but those guys, they're allowed to write their own patter. They write their own patter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they write their own patter. So you get different guys, they have different jokes.
Okay.
And so the song is told from the point of view of one of those guys, and I mean, I know a lot of people think it's a really sad song, which I guess it is. Yeah. But I think it's funny.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah.
The one I've been playing recently, but you have to have the video to go along, is Weasel Stomping Day. I love playing that one.
Oh, I like that song.
Yeah.
I never saw the video.
It's done with, what was that show? I don't think, Robot Chicken?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's done by the Robot Chicken guys.
Oh, they did other videos for him.
Okay, yeah. Weasel Stomping Day, look it up.
I feel like Weird Al, it's such a nerdy, here's who likes Weird Al. Nerdy dads. So guys you go to the concert, it's guys in their 40s, nerds.
Yeah, hello.
Nerds.
Yeah.
And then they're kids. They're like 12-year-olds. So it's like little kids like Weird Al, and then old nerd dads.
Uh-huh. I'm in fucking heaven. You don't understand how, I went to my first show when I was, 12 or 13 or whatever.
He's still got it, man.
Take my children. It's amazing.
He's good.
I apologize for everyone. You're wrong if you don't like Weird Al and are as excited as I am, because...
Did he do Albuquerque when you saw him?
No, I don't think
That's
so.
a tough one. That song's long.
Yoda is always done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And did he do The Saga Begins?
Yeah.
Long, long time ago. Yeah, that's a good one.
In a galaxy
far away, Naboo was under an attack.
Oh, yeah. Damn
right. My, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later. Now he's just a small fry.
That's it. I made, I want to say one last thing about him. I made a CD for I made a copy of a Weird Al CD so my kids could have it back at mom's house, when they weren't with me. Well, this is like 2 years ago. She heard them listening to it and took it away.
Is that why you guys got a divorce? Because of...
But we were already separated.
She hated Weird Al?
No. Yeah, right.
That's the
everything
wedge.
Worked out great, and then we got to the music.
First crack in the facade. When I found out she didn't like Weird Al, I thought, oh, this is a warning sign.
Yeah, right.
This is a red flag.
Al? What would Al do? That's what I asked myself.
Have you heard Paul F. Tompkins' bit about Weird Al? The story about him?
I don't know.
When he was working on Best Week Ever, and Weird Al was... in the room next door recording one of those other Talking Head shows, like, remember the 90s?
The 80s or something?
Yeah. It's if you guys like Weird Al, go check it out. I forget which album it's on. It's one of his recent albums. He's got this great story about it, his interaction with Weird Al.
Oh, okay.
It's funny.
Well, I think we did it, Doogie.
We did it.
I think we covered it all. People should come out and see you and Nick Thune this week at Acme. Today's, if people are hearing this the day we recorded, because we put this out today, Wednesday, show tonight, tomorrow, 2 and Friday, 2 Saturday.
Yeah, and you can, if you're still, first of all, I'll be shocked if anybody's still listening at this point.
Yeah, well, maybe this is the fourth day they've listened to, 15 minutes at a time.
But you can check out my album, A Delicate Man, is available on iTunes and Google Play, which I didn't know was a thing until I found out my album was on it. You can check out my book, Some Very Interesting Cats, perhaps you weren't aware of. It's still in stores right now. You can also get it online. You can go to my website, doogiehorner.com. It's rarely updated, but there is some stuff there. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Doogie Horner. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Perfect. Thank you, Doogie.